I'm just going to continue that. Well, welcome everyone. Hello, my name is Laura and welcome to our lesson today on patterning and pattern designing. I am a designer working at the LEGO Group and I'm working on the LEGO Dots team. So together with my fabulous designers, we've helped put together the LEGO Dots product line. And so today I'm going to go over what that is and how we can make our patterns the best that they can be. So I'm going to show you guys some tips and tricks that we use in the design team. And hopefully you guys get inspired by these patterns and it really inspires you to make your own designs. And yeah, I'm just like thrilled to talk with you all today. So a little bit about myself. I've been a designer, a product designer at the LEGO Group for 3.5 years now. I studied industrial design at the University of Alberta. I'm from Canada. And after I graduated university, I moved to Europe to a small country called Denmark. And that's actually where the LEGO Group is based out of. And so once I moved to Denmark, I applied a few times to the LEGO Group, and in 2017 was happy to join as a product designer. If you guys have any questions, for those of you who have just joined, please ask away in the Q&A and we will get back to you. So now I'm really excited. Let's start patterning and start diving into things. So some materials that you guys will need today. So here we have some, there we go. Here we have some Dots products. We have anything with studs. We like to call it a canvas. So I have some different sizes of canvases in the center here. And then we also have these small tiles, which we also like to call dots. And so I'm going to show you guys how we can use them in really interesting ways. So let's first of all go over some different shapes and what I like to call them so that we're all on the same page. So let's start with the pizza slice because it kind of looks like a little pizza. And then we have, this is what I like to call the tooth tile. And you'll kind of see later why we call it the tooth. We have the circle tile. This little smiley face is my favorite. The graphic designer, Diego, just does wonderful, wonderful things. And we have the square tile. So those are the 4 main shapes that we're going to be working with today. So first off, let's start. I'm going to start with a big canvas here, just so it's a little easier for you guys to see online. And we're going to start with the pizza tile. So that's these little guys here. They look like a little pizza. So let's start maybe with this really vibrant coral color. We have lots of different names for the colors here. You'll hear me refer to them often throughout the lesson today. So I'm going to use this coral color, and we're going to start with a really basic shape, the circle. And what better way than to make a circle than to make a pizza? And that's what we're doing. So we're going to add all the little pizza slices. We're going to make a little pizza. Just like that. So that is our first shape of the day. And you can do a lot with this circle. And let's move on to a next shape. Let's do a tulip. So for that, I think I'm going to use some dark blue that I have here. And so I'm going to start off as if I was making a pizza. So see, I have that half shape there. But instead of making a closed circle, I'm just going to turn those tiles so that it makes kind of a flower shape like that. So that's what we like to call the tulip. Now, if you guys are following along and you put a tile down and you're like, oh, you know what, I don't want that color, or that's not the right shape or anything, I can show you how to remove those tiles. It's really easy. So one way you can do it is actually you can just use your fingers. So I usually go along this curved edge and just kind of put my nail under there and just kind of flick it off. Sometimes it flicks off. So that's one way that you can take off tiles. Another way is this tool called the brick separator. We use it a lot in the design team because we make a lot of patterns, but we also change our minds a lot. I mean, usually when we're making something, we change our minds halfway, or we start with a color and then we want to change the color. So we're constantly trying things out and experimenting. And that's what I think could be really great for you guys as well, is always experiment with your patterns. Try out new things. If you like it, keep it. If you don't like it, switch it out. If you feel like purple today, change it to purple. There's a lot of options that you guys can do. So I'm going to make a couple of tulips here. Maybe I'll put one down here. And I'm going to make one more tulip to make a nice little pattern. Then we're going to move on to the next shape using the pizza. Do you guys like pizza? Let us know in the Q&A. I like pizza. All right. Next shape I'm going to do is we're going to add some leaves to our little tulips. So I'm going to move away the blue. And let's bring out, I think, some green here. And I think I'll put them under the tulips. And so how we make a leaf is it's just half of this tulip shape. So I'll show you what I mean. Put that there. And then like that. So see, it's the same shape as half of the tulip. But when you change the color, it becomes something completely different. So I like to make symmetrical patterns, so I just got to move that over. But again, there just really is no right way or wrong way to make the patterns. My goal today is to just show you guys some different shapes that you can use, and hopefully this inspires you guys to go wild with your own creations. So I'm gonna make maybe just a few more leaves so that you guys really get the hang of this shape. Something like that. Now, if you guys are watching and you don't have Lego dots, that's not a problem. I'm going to show you now how you can follow along with just some simple graph paper. So I have a notebook here. It's got some lines on it, and you can use those lines to draw out your own patterns. So I did this before the class started. I kind of drew out some of my patterns, and by keeping in the grid shape, it makes it really easy to try different pattern layouts, so that if you don't have very many Lego dots, that's totally okay. You can still design your own patterns. And then the cool thing with this is that you can also experiment with the colors. So I have some pencil crayons here. So I can try out some different color combinations. Maybe I want to make this green, and that looks pretty cool. So then I can go back to my canvas and I can even try that out. So make a little half circle there, and I'll make that other half green. So yes, that's one way that you guys can follow along with just some simple paper. Another way that you can follow along if you don't have a lot of Lego dots to play with today is some paper. So I cut out these shapes earlier today to kind of show you guys what we're doing. So these are, you know, those shapes that I'm working with, some more pizza tiles, and you can just play around like this. You can make the circle. We can change that to the tulip. And then we can make the leaf. Maybe make another tulip. There we go. Just like that. So let's head back to this plate here. Just get the light right there. What's next? What other shape can we do? I'm going to show you guys now how to do the snake. I think I'll get a new canvas for this. Just move that one to the side. So for the snake, what we do is we make the leaf pattern. I'm going to use yellow for this one. So I'm going to start with the leaf. So you see how that's the leaf there. And then you make another leaf, but you offset it. So it's the same leaf pattern, but because it's offset, we're kind of going in this diagonal line. And then we get this really cool kind of wiggle going along there. So I'm going to complete this snake pattern. I'm going to do another one down here, but I'm going to make it two-tone. So by experimenting with different color combinations, we can create some really interesting effects. And I would like to take this time to remind you guys, if you have any questions at all, you can send them into the Q&A and we can answer those throughout the lesson today. What color should I use next? Ooh, I'm going to use this teal color. This is one of my favorite Lego colors. What are your favorite colors? Let me know.
Hi, Laura, it's Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sam. I work with Laura at the Lego company, and I'm going to be taking your questions in the Q&A. So like Laura said, just go ahead and post in there, and then I'll be sharing them with Laura to answer today. So Laura, while you're building, a really great question came through from one of our fans. Can you tell us how the idea for Lego Dots came about? It's very different than normal Lego building for our fans. Where did we get that idea, and why is it called Dots?
Ooh, that is a great question. So a few things happened at once for this product to come about. One of them, so one thing that happened was this tile, this little quarter tile. It's relatively new to the Lego group, and I think people started to notice all of the different shapes that you can do with just one tile and all the cool patterns that you can do. And so how Lego Dots came about was this idea that, hey, maybe we can use these small 1x1 dots and we can turn that into an entire play experience. So it's a little bit different from other Lego sets. It still uses the Lego system, but it just uses it in a different way. And Lego Dots focuses a lot on just the pure creation of patterns and designing it your way. And that's really where the product, came about. It was just really celebrating the joy of pattern making. Another part of Lego Dots that came about was the idea of taking a Lego creation and then wearing it. And so that's how these bracelets came about. So these are, I have an example here. So these are Lego studs, but they're on a new flexible canvas so that you can create your own patterns and then you can wear them every day, and you can change them whenever you want, and you can style it however you want. So that was kind of another idea that some people thought about in the company, and then we decided to make the product line around that idea. So you can see here, I'm just alternating the leaf colors in this snake. and it's looking really cool. So I'm just gonna finish off this line. And sometimes I get lost in the patterning. It's very relaxing for me and I love doing it. So I'm really excited to be doing this class with you guys today. Cool, so I have some good squiggle snake lines there. And so now I think we can kind of introduce a new shape into the mix. Let's take a look at circles. I made a little box here for it. So these obviously are just little circles and they are super good at finishing off any pattern that you make. I like to use them as maybe some border decoration around my canvas. Or even you can just put them wherever and I think they look great. They just give this really cool polka dot vibe to your creation. So I'm just gonna put these in a bunch of places because I think it looks cool. And then if tomorrow I don't feel like polka dots, then I can change it out and make something new. Great. Let's move on to the next shape, the tooth tile. So I've got a few of those here. Just gonna dump those out. So again, these tooth tiles, that's a big one. They're just kind of rounded shapes. I'm gonna use a darker canvas for this one so that you guys can really see. And you can make kind of these cool little bean shapes just by putting them back to back like that. And now let's try something else. So the cool thing is that once we start putting down shapes, we can mix and match our shapes to make even cooler patterns. So I'm gonna grab some white pizza slices here, and I'm gonna combine them with the tooth tile. Just trying to avoid that glare up top. And now we have this cute little worm. And that sounds like a fun idea. Actually, I'm gonna make a little worm.
Hi, Laura. Sam again. A bunch of more questions coming in for you and lots of compliments on the beautiful pattern that you're working on. So people are wondering, how does basically getting Lego dots work? So do I buy a specific kit for Lego dots? Can I just get the pieces? Can I just get the bracelets? How does the system work?
That is another super great question. So I can show you a few examples of products. So like I mentioned, the bracelets before, so those you can buy individually. They kind of look like that. So you get a bracelet, which might look something like this, and you can buy them in a few different colors. And then you get a selection of tiles, and each bracelet comes with kind of its own theme, but you can mix and match whatever you have. So when you buy any Lego Dots products, you get some type of canvas, whether it's a bracelet or if it's a plate like this, and then you get the tiles. So another example is you can buy a kit, something like this. This is the pineapple pencil holder. This is a set that I worked on. And so you get all of the elements that you need to build the pineapple. You get all the tiles in these side compartments that you can use to decorate the pineapple. And then also you can use this package as a sorting tray. So that's actually what I'm using right here. This is a tray from another product. So we have the jewelry box here. So I'm using this tray actually to sort my dots. So the Lego dot system works with any regular Lego set. And I can show you some examples. So even if you have like some normal bricks lying around, you can dot anything with studs. So I'll show you on this 2x6 yellow brick. What shall I use? I think I'll use blue. That'll look really nice. So maybe I'll just make some tulips. Make a tulip on this brick. So this is just to show you guys that you can use your dots on anything, whether it's bricks or plates. Show that. Actually, I did a little experiment earlier to show that too. So I built this, and this is just using some regular bricks and plates in some cool Lego colors. And then I took the same build, but then I added some tiles on top of it, some dots. And you can kind of see how that, ooh, there we go, how that really changes the look and feel of it. So you can use it with any Lego product that you have. Or again, maybe you just want to follow along with like some paper shapes, and hopefully this still gives you inspiration of like different patterns that you guys can make, because designing patterns is really what we're all about today. And it is something that I love, and it's a really fun way to express yourself. You can choose your favorite colors, you can choose your favorite patterns. You can make funny things, like I made this little worm, and he's like going along. Ooh, it's gonna eat a leaf, because I think that would be adorable. There, eating a little leaf. And I think that actually brings us to our next shape topic. We're gonna move on to squares. I think I'll stick with the black canvas again. That looks really good on camera. So I'm gonna use some coral squares here. And I'm gonna start combining different shapes and show you guys how to make some more advanced patterns. So I'm gonna start by putting 4 squares down. So you guys can see that. And then I'm going to take my pizza tiles, and I'm gonna do 2 half pizzas on 2 sides of the square. And you guys will be able to see what kind of shape it makes. There we go. Now we've made a heart using our tiles. So I'm going to make that again. What colors should I use? This time I'm going to do aqua. Yeah, going to do aqua. So start with my 4 squares. Sometimes I like to use the brick separator to straighten out the tiles. I just kind of press them together. You don't have to do that. That's just something I like to do. And then I'm gonna put my half pizzas here. There, we've got 2 lovely hearts. And actually, the next thing we can do is we can continue adding those half pizzas. And we can turn our heart into a little cloud or a little flower. All right, and now I'm going to combine some more shapes. This is the next level. This is a bit more abstract. If you guys are up for it, I think I'll do a big canvas for this one. So let's go back to a big aqua canvas. And if you guys are thinking, if you're looking at a big canvas like this and you're like, where do I even start? How do I start designing? I have a tip for you guys. This is called the Blob Pattern. And it's really perfect if you're not really sure how to fill the space, or you just want to go with the flow. My tip is to just start putting squares down and put them down randomly. So I'll put maybe 2 over here. I'll put 3 over here. Let's do 6 over here. Yeah. So we have a bunch of squares, and now we're going to take the pizza slice, and we're just going to kind of round off these shapes, and we'll just turn them into little blobs. And when you put all of these little blobs together, you get a really cool effect. So I have like a little half pizza here. I'm going to put 3, move that down, 3 pizza slices there. You see how it's kind of getting a little blobby. And let's put some there. Cool, so we have our first blob. This one's just gonna be a cute little blob. And this shape is actually cool because it's turned into a bit of a teardrop. Let's move on to this one. I think I'm gonna make that flower shape again. I really liked that one from earlier. Nice little flower. If you guys have any recommendations of what you want to see patterned, enter it in the Q&A. You are more than welcome to make some suggestions, and let's see what we can do.
Yeah, that's a great question, Laura. Actually, we've just had a few questions about, what type of things you can build with Lego dots. I think fans are really used to building up with Lego bricks. So for instance, can we build pumpkins? Can we build cars, houses, things that people are used to in Lego bricks? I think specifically people are asking if you had any fall suggestions, like a pumpkin for Halloween.
That's a really fun idea. Yeah, we can definitely make a pumpkin. I've got some kind of yellowish, orangish shapes. I think let's use the black plate for that. You know, it's fall, it's getting spooky. I love Halloween. I'm really excited for it. Let me know if you guys have started working on your Halloween costumes. I started mine a few weeks ago, even though it's very early. All right, so I'm gonna try making a little pumpkin. And I mean, you can get really elaborate with these patterns, and you can also keep it really simple. So I've just made a little round pizza there, and I'm just gonna put a little green tile there, and now it's a little pumpkin. And I think something spooky to go with the pumpkin is maybe a little ghost. So, I mean, even something as simple as that looks like a little ghost and a little pumpkin. But we can make this ghost a little bit bigger. I can keep it that way. Just need some more tiles. Let's see. I was not expecting to build a ghost today, but I'm very glad that someone suggested it. I don't have any white squares, so I'm gonna use, maybe I'll use actually this tooth tile. Can kind of fill out the body there. He's like a little ghost. Or let's try that with, you know what, I can make a teal, not a teal, an aqua shaped ghost. So I'm just gonna undo this pattern. So I'm gonna get that half pizza round shape up there. Let's make him a tall ghost. And then, you know, ghosts have, you know, the bottom bits, you know, like when you wear a sheet as a ghost and it hangs like that. So that's my little ghost and the little ghost buddy and the pumpkin for fall. And you know what? I think we can also add some leaves, because that's what I love about fall. There are all the changing leaf patterns. Or not leaf patterns, but you know, the leaves that turn colors.
That's great, Laura. Getting lots of great compliments for, again, beautiful patterns. It also raised another type of pattern question, and that's about pets. So what about cats or dogs? I think the fans are thinking that would be kind of tricky. What do you think?
I agree. It's a little tricky, but I am definitely up for the task. Let's try it out. I'll keep the big canvas, I think, because that is just easy to see. I'm just gonna move. That is so much better. I should have moved that light long ago, but you know what? That's okay. I'm gonna make a cat, I think, because I love cats. Okay, let's start with a head. Cats have heads. So that's the top of my cat. And maybe I'll add some ears. Ooh, you know what? Those ears are too long, but I just got an idea. So this happens a lot in the design team. So let me know if it happens to you guys too. You know, sometimes you start a pattern and you're like, maybe I should do this or maybe I should do that. And that is a really great part of the creative process. You know, it's all about experimenting and really finding out what works, finding out what doesn't work. To me, that is what I strongly believe design is. It's about trying a bunch of different things, and a lot of those ideas won't work and some of them will. And that is just a really cool part of being any type of designer, let alone a Lego designer. So that's kind of my cat head. I think that's looking pretty nice. Let's continue with a body. Get some shoulders in there. Yeah, that's looking nice. And kind of round, no. Yeah, okay, we're gonna do that. And I think I'm gonna give it a little paw. So I'm using that tooth tile there. And then it needs a tail, of course. You know what, maybe it doesn't need the foot. Yeah, I think that is a pretty cool little cat. Ooh, actually, we can use that tooth tile. Yeah. And we can round off the tail there. You know what, I think I like the pointy tail. Yeah. It could also be a fox. But I think it needs a dog buddy. Yeah, let's do a dog. So for the dog, I'm also going to continue in pink because I think those colors show up really well on the camera, to be honest. So I'm just going to keep rolling with that. So I'm going to do kind of a similar structure. So I'm going to have a bunch of squares to be the face, but dogs typically have rounded ears. So maybe I'll do something like that. And this dog is gonna have purple ears because if I were a dog, I would have purple ears. Yeah, I think this is working for me. You know what, maybe I'll give this dog a round face, just like I did the cat. It kind of looks like a sheep also. Let's give it a little body. I think this dog should definitely have a round tail. I wasn't sold on the round tail for the cat, but I think this dog can definitely have a round tail. So I'm going to finish off this dog here, and then we are going to move on to faces. So if you guys have any ideas for what type of faces I should build using Lego dots, let me know in the Q&A. You know what? This dog should also have a purple tail.
Hi again, Laura. While you're finishing that up, we've gotten this question a lot of times. So people want to know, what is your favorite pattern?
Ooh, oh, that is a really good question. There's my cat and dog, by the way. You know what? My favorite pattern changes a lot. Like, for example, right now, I love making the blobs because I think it's just really fun, and you can just have a lot of freedom in filling up the space. But I think I have an example of another one of my favorite patterns. I'm going to show you here. I love really floral type of patterns. So you can see like this one uses the tulip 4 times in 4 different directions. And I love making like these really pretty ornate ends. So yeah, that's one of my favorite patterns, but really it changes all the time. Like this is another really great pattern. Good use of the circle dots there and really simple bold shapes. There are so many different ways that you can pattern. So I'm going to show you guys now, we've got some basic shapes out of the way, and now I'm going to show you how to make some faces. So when designing the pineapple, so I showed you the package for the pineapple. So that was this. And this is the product. So it is a pencil box. You can open up the lid there and you can put your pencils inside just like that. The top spins. It didn't need to spin, but I thought it was a really fun feature, so it spins. And what you can do with this is you can take off the plates really easily. So you can take it off, you can build a new pattern, and then you can put that on there. So I think that would actually be a really good spot for our pineapple friend here. Let's give him some new expressions, or him or her. So I have some coral plates, and I have some yellow plates, and I have some black plates. Maybe let's start with the yellow plate, and yeah, I'll show you guys how to make some different expressions. So this one is a really good pattern. It's kind of a classic smile, really cute. It's got rosy cheeks. I'll show you how to make an even more simple face pattern. So for that, I'm actually going to switch out my tile selection. So in the last package, I had mostly quarter tiles, and now in this one, I have some circle dots. I have some more pizza slices, but this time in white and black, because that is really good for eyes. And then I have some of the tooth tiles. So I'll show you guys some different ways to use that. So let's start with like a more simple version of this really happy pineapple. So what you can do is you can do, let's just do 2 little dots. And see, already we have some eyes. Oh, I find the sweet spot of my light is right there. So we have some cute little eyes. And we're just gonna make a little smile. And so already with just 4 dots, we've made a really cute smile. And let's turn this frown, or not frown. Let's turn this upside down and we can kind of turn it into a little frown. Maybe it's a sad pineapple today. He's like, oh my gosh. And now let's give him some eyebrows. Oh, that looks kind of angry. This kind of looks like an angry expression.
Laura, do you think that we can do a winking face?
Ooh, yes, definitely. So I'm gonna make this pineapple smile again real quick because I think it's really cute. Ta-da! There we go. So a winking face, definitely. So I think a winking face can have a smile. So let's start with a smile. We'll start at the bottom. And I'm gonna do some bigger eyes, kind of more in this style. So this uses up 4 dots per eye. So that's gonna be our winking eye. And then I'm gonna add a big eye like that. There we go, and we have a little wink. We can add some blush. I think that's fun. All right, let's see what else we can do. So also, you can use some different elements too to make some really wild expressions. For example, let's take off this smile here. And one of the elements that comes in the pineapple are these pieces here. And I've seen some people online actually do this, which is really cool. You can use it as like a super mega smile. And he's like, ah! And you know what, we can take this even further. We can add some teeth to that. So bring in that tooth tile again. So I'm gonna use them in white. And we can give him some teeth. That's pretty cute. What else can we do with the tooth? I have an idea. Let's see if this works out. Because that is the fun in doing this type of patterning, is just trying new things and experimenting. I can maybe get creative with the lips. There we go, got some lips there. Ooh, I have an idea for another one. Gonna add a bunch of, oh, actually I wasn't planning on that, but that's a happy accident. That's a really cute face. I like that. Gonna add just like a little mustache. So that's, I mean, that's one way of doing it. And then I have an idea for another type of mustache that we can do. So let's take these tiles off. Oh, actually, before I do that, here's another one. Hello, face. Super cute also. And let me know, guys, which face do you guys like the most? I know I'm going through these pretty quick.
Laura, we also had a request for what laughing might look like. That sounds like a tricky one.
Laughing, that's a good one. Okay, let's do this one. So I'm gonna finish the eyeball first. Trying to think. Ooh, okay, I think I know. I like these pattern challenges a lot. This is very fun. It's really forcing me to think creatively. And for those of you who are interested in a career in design, that is a great tip for you guys, is to always challenge yourselves. Give yourself little design challenges. You know, what ways, how can I make this a little trickier for myself so that I'm forced to try new things? So I think this is looking pretty good so far. It's got his eyes closed, laughing. I think if I get some eyebrows. Yeah, okay, I think that's working. Some eyebrows there. So almost like they're laughing so hard they're maybe like tearing up a little bit. That's a good type of laugh, isn't it? When you're laughing, when you cry a little bit. Oh yeah, there we go. That's a big laugh. And then, yeah, I think something like that could work. Super, guys. Well, time is flying by here, but I'm gonna show you one more thing that we can do today while we have our dots here, and that is we can turn any pattern that we make into something that we display. So if you have a product like this, definitely you can swap out your patterns as you like, and you can try new patterns and always experiment that way. Or if you just have some Lego bricks at home, you can turn it into a picture frame. And I had a picture frame. I don't know where my picture frame went, but that's okay. I'll just make it because I have Lego. So I'm going to switch out my tile trays again. And I'm going to start off with a nice square plate here. So this is the last thing that I'm going to show you guys. So if you guys have any last questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A, and I will try to answer those for you. So what I'm doing here is you take any plate, and I'm just putting a little plate like this. And you can use different shapes, but I'm just raising it up. So if I have a piece of paper that I want to put into my frame, I have to make sure that it fits. So I put the plate layer up here to raise it up. And then it's really simple. You just find something to cover the corners to hold the photo in place. So for that, I'm going to use these bow tiles. So by putting one on each corner, it kind of secures the paper in place. And then that gives us some room to decorate the rest of the frame. And then of course, if you want to build bigger frames, you can also pick up the Dots product, the photo frames. So here you get 3 of them, and you can decorate them just like how I'm showing you today. You can decorate them in different ways, and you can rearrange the frames as well because they're separate. So while I decorate this frame here, Sam, if you have any last questions for me.
Yes, I think this is a good time to wrap together a few different questions. Fans had questions about kind of your background, how you became a designer at LEGO, and do you have any advice for the young fans? A lot of people asking, like, what do you go to college for if you want to be a LEGO designer?
Yeah, super good question. So I can start way back. So growing up, I just loved being creative, and I did that in a few different ways. So I really loved painting. I liked to draw. I loved making collages. Actually, I would cut up magazines and cut out all the pictures that I liked, and I would make them into nice patterns and collages. And I think that is what helps me to be a Lego Dots designer. And I also really liked being crafty with paper. So things like this, like I was really excited to cut up these shapes today because I love working with paper. So I've just always kind of dabbled in different creative passions like that. I went to university in the industrial design program, and I also did a year in the fine arts program. So in the fine arts program, I learned more about drawing skills, things about like composition, perspective, basically anything of how to, you know, you have an idea in your head and how do you get that idea into the world. And that's art and design. And so that's what a lot of my design classes were, is like, okay, you have an idea. How do you take that idea and how do you show it to the world? So that's, you know, through drawing or through building or through making 3D models. So there's lots of different ways that you can do that. So I went to university for industrial design, and yeah, those kind of experiences are what led me here. And then along the way also I had a few different jobs that allowed me to be really creative. One job that I had before becoming a Lego designer was actually sculpting big foam props that were used on mini golf courses. So that was a fun job. So if you're interested in a career in design, or if you're just interested in art or design, my advice to you is to find ways to be creative. So if you really like to paint, then I encourage you to paint. If you really like to draw, then you know, find drawing tutorials or find things that interest you and draw them, or you can do that through photography as well. And there's just so many different ways that you can do it, and it's just all a matter of what you are in love with. So I hope that answers some questions. I'm just kind of doodling right now while I talk and making a nice design. But I'm actually going to go back to this this photo frame here. So I've made this frame, and then how I'm going to finish it off is I'm just going to put a Lego brick in the back here, just like that, and then it can kind of stand at an angle there and be a little photo frame. And I think it needs a face. There we go. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today, for watching me make patterns, and for making a lot of great suggestions. I just really hope that you guys have learned some interesting techniques or some interesting tips, maybe some new ways to tile or to dot that you haven't thought of before. And I hope you guys are inspired to design your own patterns and to share them with the world. I'm so excited to see what you guys make. And yeah, thank you. And I wish you all a great day.